Have you ever wondered why some men don't chase attention, yet somehow attract it? Why some men barely try to impress, yet women remember them long after the conversation ends? Why you can be kind, loyal, emotionally available, supportive, and still be invisible, while another man with fewer words and less effort becomes unforgettable? Today, I'm going to show you something that almost no man is ever taught. Not flirting tricks, not pickup lines, not manipulation. This is deeper than confidence, deeper than looks, deeper than status. This is the one psychological behavior that women respond to instinctively, even when they can't explain why. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and watch this video till the very end, because what you are about to hear will quietly change how women experience you. Let me say this clearly. 99% of men don't do this, and that is exactly why women love it when a man finally does. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most men try to become attractive by adding things. More jokes, more messages, more explanations, more emotional effort, more availability, more reassurance, more validation. But attraction is not built by adding. Attraction is built by removing. Removing emotional noise, removing emotional pressure, removing emotional neediness, removing emotional chaos. The thing women love and most men never practice is this: emotional self-containment. Not emotional coldness, not emotional distance, not pretending you don't care. I'm talking about something far more powerful. I'm talking about a man who can feel without leaking his emotional state onto the woman in front of him. A man who can want without needing. A man who can care without clinging. A man who can connect without collapsing into emotional dependence. And yes, women feel this instantly, long before words, long before flirting, long before attraction is conscious. Let me explain something most men never realize. A woman does not experience you through logic. She experiences you through her nervous system, your tone, your timing, your emotional rhythm, your reactions, your silence, your presence. Your emotional regulation is louder than your personality. And here is where most men fail. They unknowingly outsource their emotional stability to the woman. Her replies determine their mood. Her attention regulates their self-worth. Her approval becomes emotional oxygen. They don't say it. They don't even realize it. But their behavior leaks it. Their timing becomes anxious. Their jokes become defensive. Their compliments become negotiations. Their messages become temperature checks. And something very subtle happens inside the woman. Her nervous system senses responsibility. Not attraction, responsibility. And nothing kills romantic polarity faster than emotional responsibility. This is the mistake. Men believe being emotionally open means being emotionally uncontained. They confuse vulnerability with emotional dumping. They confuse honesty with emotional dependence. They confuse intimacy with emotional exposure that has no structure. But women are not attracted to emotional chaos. They are attracted to emotional stability. They don't fall in love with emotional perfection. They fall in love with emotional reliability. Let me say that again slowly. Women do not fall in love with emotional perfection. They fall in love with emotional reliability. You do not need to be flawless. You need to be regulated. You need to be grounded under pressure. You need to be emotionally predictable in the best possible way. Not boring, safe. And safety is not softness. Safety is strength under control. Now here is the thing 99% of men never practice. They never learn how to hold emotional tension without discharging it. Every emotion becomes a message. Every insecurity becomes a conversation. Every doubt becomes a question. Every fear becomes a confession. And slowly, the emotional polarity dissolves. The woman stops leaning forward emotionally. Not because you did something wrong, but because your emotional field has become crowded. No space, no contrast, no tension, no mystery, no groundedness. The man women quietly admire is not the man who talks the most. It is the man who can remain emotionally centered while connection is happening, while attraction is happening, while uncertainty is happening, while silence is happening, while rejection is possible, while desire is rising. He is present, but not reactive, available, but not needy, interested, but not dependent. This emotional posture is rare, and rarity creates value. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some men become more emotional the more they like a woman? They become more expressive, more reassuring, more explaining, more apologetic, more invested, more intense. They believe closeness requires emotional escalation, but in reality, closeness requires emotional stability, not escalation. Here is something psychology never tells men directly. When your emotional state starts orbiting around a woman's reactions, your center of gravity moves away from yourself. And women can feel when a man has lost his center. Even if he is confident, even if he is attractive, even if he is successful, even if he is charming, because emotional center is not status. It is internal orientation, and women respond most strongly to men who remain oriented inwardly, even while connecting outwardly. This is the invisible behavior women love. You become emotionally sovereign. Your emotions belong to you. Your mood belongs to you. Your self-worth belongs to you. Your validation belongs to you. Your peace belongs to you. You do not place that burden on her. And when a woman realizes, I am not responsible for this man's emotional stability, something beautiful happens. She relaxes. Her nervous system opens. Her curiosity increases. Her emotional attraction deepens. Because emotional responsibility is heavy, and attraction requires lightness. Most men are never taught this. They are taught to express, to communicate, to open up, to share, to be honest. All of this is healthy, but only when emotional containment exists. Without containment, communication becomes emotional leakage. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. A woman doesn't reply for hours. Most men immediately feel something. Anxiety, insecurity, fear of losing, fear of being forgotten, and then they discharge that feeling. A second message, a joke, a check-in, a passive-aggressive line, a soft complaint, an apology that doesn't belong. But the man who practices what women love feels the emotion, but does not unload it onto her. He regulates himself first. He stays grounded first. He doesn't make her responsible for calming his nervous system. And this one difference changes how she experiences him completely. Because now, he is not coming to her for emotional relief. He is coming to her for connection. That difference is enormous. Here is the deeper psychological layer. A woman's attraction system is highly sensitive to emotional pressure. Not logical pressure. Emotional pressure. When she feels even a small amount of, I need this from you, her nervous system subtly closes. When she feels, I want you, but I do not require you to be emotionally okay, her nervous system opens. This is not conscious. This is biological. This is survival psychology. Think about it. If a man's emotional stability depends on her, she subconsciously anticipates future emotional management, future emotional labor, future emotional responsibility, and attraction does not grow where emotional labor is anticipated. It grows where emotional freedom is felt. This is why women often say confusing things like, I don't know, he was perfect, but something felt off. What felt off was not your words. It was not your behavior. It was not your kindness. It was not your attention. It was your emotional orientation. You were oriented toward her for emotional regulation, instead of being oriented toward yourself. Let me be very honest with you. This is not about becoming emotionally distant. This is about becoming emotionally strong. There is a massive difference. Emotionally distant men shut down. Emotionally sovereign men stay open, but they do not collapse. They do not bleed. They do not over-explain. They do not chase emotional reassurance. They do not perform emotional transparency to be liked. They share without seeking regulation. Here's the paradox. The less you need a woman to emotionally stabilize you, the safer she feels emotionally with you. And safety is the foundation of desire. Not politeness, not niceness, not agreement, not emotional intensity, safety. Let's talk about vulnerability for a moment. Vulnerability is powerful when it is integrated. It is unattractive when it is unprocessed. There is a big difference between, I went through something difficult and I learned from it, and I am still bleeding and I need you to hold me emotionally. The first creates depth. The second creates emotional burden, and most men are unconsciously seeking emotional holding from the woman they desire. Not intimacy. Holding. This is subtle, but women can feel it, and when she feels it, attraction quietly shifts into emotional caretaking. And once caretaking begins, desire fades. Now let's go deeper. The behavior women love is not something you perform. It is something you become. You become the man who can sit inside uncertainty without panicking. You become the man who can feel desire without rushing it. You become the man who can feel attachment without surrendering emotional authority. You become the man who can enjoy connection without clinging to outcome. Here is something very important. Men are taught to manage outcomes. Get the number. Get the date. Get the reply. Get the relationship. But women are responding to emotional process, not outcomes. Your ability to remain emotionally centered during the process is what builds attraction, not the result. Let me ask you something honestly. How do you behave when you truly like a woman? Do you become more controlled or more reactive? Do you become more grounded or more emotionally expressive? Do you become more patient or more urgent? Most men become urgent, and urgency is emotional insecurity wearing ambition. The man women love emotionally moves slowly internally, even when attraction is fast, even when desire is strong, even when chemistry is real. He does not let intensity hijack his emotional posture. He enjoys, he observes, he stays present, but he does not emotionally rush. This is why silence is powerful when you are emotionally centered. Not silent treatment, not withdrawal, not manipulation. Calm silence, unrushed silence, unthreatened silence, silence that does not ask for reassurance, silence that does not beg for attention, silence that does not try to control the interaction. That silence creates emotional gravity. Here is the hidden psychological shift. When you stop emotionally chasing reassurance, women begin emotionally tracking you, not because you disappeared, but because your emotional energy is no longer scattered. It is contained, and contained energy is felt as presence. This is one of the deepest misunderstandings men have about attraction. They think emotional expression creates connection, but emotional stability creates safety, and safety allows emotional connection to deepen. Now let's talk about how this changes your communication. You stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You stop defending harmless misunderstandings. You stop overqualifying your intentions. You stop preemptively softening everything. You stop emotional over-transparency, not because you hide, but because you trust yourself. And trust is attractive. You begin to speak from emotional completeness, not emotional hunger. Your words slow down. Your timing improves. Your tone becomes grounded. Your presence becomes noticeable. And women respond to presence far more than words. Here's another important piece. The man women love emotionally has something more important than a woman in his life. He has an internal structure, purpose, direction, discipline, growth, projects, values, self-development. Not for status, but for identity. He is not emotionally vacant. And emotionally vacant men are always unconsciously searching for someone to emotionally occupy the empty space. Women feel that search, and it creates pressure. When a woman feels that your life is already emotionally full, but still open to connection, she does not feel like she must complete you. She feels invited, not needed. Invitation creates desire. Need creates resistance. Let me give you a powerful reframe. You do not attract women by being impressive. You attract women by being internally organized. Your emotional world is not chaotic. Your reactions are not impulsive. Your validation is not outsourced. Your peace is not fragile. Your confidence is not performative. Your masculinity is not aggressive. Your calm is real. Here is where Stoic psychology becomes incredibly relevant. Not emotional suppression. Emotional mastery. Feeling everything, but letting nothing hijack your behavior. This is strength. And women are biologically drawn to emotional leadership, not dominance. Leadership. Leadership of self. Let me show you how this affects conflict. When a disagreement happens, most men become defensive. They try to fix the emotional discomfort immediately. They try to resolve. They try to smooth. They try to explain. They try to rescue the emotional atmosphere. But the emotionally sovereign man does something different. He listens. He breathes. He allows emotional discomfort to exist without panicking. He does not rush to repair his image.
He does not fear emotional tension.
He stays regulated. This tells her nervous system, this man can hold emotional complexity. That is deeply attractive. Here is another layer. When you stop emotionally chasing certainty, you become comfortable with ambiguity. And ambiguity is a powerful psychological amplifier. Not manipulation, not games. Natural emotional space. Most men kill emotional momentum by trying to lock things down too quickly emotionally. Where do we stand? Do you like me? Are we okay? What are we? These questions are often attempts to regulate anxiety, not build connection. The emotionally grounded man lets the connection breathe. He does not need to freeze it. He experiences it. Let's be very real. This is not easy. It requires emotional discipline. It requires awareness. It requires self-regulation. It requires you to sit with uncomfortable emotions without outsourcing them. But the reward is enormous. Because once a woman experiences you as emotionally self-contained, you become different from almost every man she has met. Not louder, not flashier, not more dramatic. Safer, deeper, more stable, more trustworthy, more magnetic. Here is something beautiful. When you stop asking a woman to emotionally hold you, she becomes more emotionally available to you, not less. Because now, her emotional energy is not being spent regulating you. It can flow into connection, curiosity, playfulness, affection, desire. This is the hidden trade. Men think emotional openness creates availability, but emotional containment creates capacity for connection. Let me give you a simple internal rule. Before you send a message, before you speak something emotional, before you explain something personal, ask yourself one question. Am I sharing from emotional fullness or emotional need? If it is from fullness, share. If it is from need, regulate first. This single filter will transform how women experience you. And no, this does not mean you never ask for support. It means you do not use romantic interest as your primary emotional regulation source. You build a full emotional life. Friends, growth, fitness, learning, projects, silence, solitude, reflection, structure, discipline, purpose. This creates emotional sovereignty. Let me be honest with you. A woman wants to feel like she is adding to your life, not stabilizing it. She wants to feel chosen, not needed. Now let's speak directly to you. If you've ever felt like you gave too much emotionally, you cared deeply, you were available, you listened, you supported, you invested, and still, she drifted. It does not mean you are unlovable. It does not mean you are weak. It means you were never taught emotional containment. And that is not your fault. Most men are taught how to communicate. Very few men are taught how to regulate. But regulation is the real skill. This is why the man women love most is not the man who fixes everything. It is the man who remains emotionally stable when things cannot be fixed immediately. Let me summarize the one behavior women love that 99% of men don't practice. You do not make her responsible for your emotional stability. You do not use her attention to regulate your anxiety. You do not use her approval to regulate your self-worth. You do not use her presence to regulate your inner emptiness. You come to her complete, open, curious, interested, but emotionally self-governed. This is silent power, not dominance, not control, not manipulation, self-leadership. If you truly want to become the man women remember, not just the man they talk to, not just the man they appreciate, not just the man they feel safe with, but the man they feel emotionally drawn to, then practice this every day, in every interaction, with everyone. Not only women, emotional self-containment will change your entire presence in the world. And when you master this, you will finally understand why some men never chase, yet are always chosen. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.